Hello, super quick intro. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can solve the Hanayama Amour puzzle. We're going to go through the quickest way to take it apart and then the quickest way to put it back together in an easy way for you to follow along to. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so here is a fully assembled Amour puzzle. And the actual amount of moves that are required to separate this isn't that high, and it can be relatively straightforward to follow along to. The key is that during one move you need to stop a certain thing happening, which I will explain when we get to that point. Now, obviously we're going to describe these in, well, fairly literally. This heart-shaped piece we're going to call the Amour piece. We're going to call the gold circle that has the arrow on it the arrow piece, and the gold circle that has the cross on it the cross piece. So what we're going to do is we're going to start in this fully assembled position, and what we need to do to start with is let the arrow piece fall down and the cross piece gap sort of come up into this position in here. What we're then going to do to start with is we're going to move the gap on the cross piece out and over the bottom left hand hole. Now next what we're going to do is bring the arrow piece, which is on the right hand side as we are looking at it now, to the left hand side. So we're going to come up and over to here. However, when we're doing this, what we need to make sure is that the cross piece, or the actual cross of the cross piece, doesn't go through the gap in the arrow piece down here. So we don't want to let it do this. We need to keep it on this side as we push this arrow up into this position in here. And everything gets a little bit more loose then. And what we can then do is take what should be the gap is now sort of going through the whole of the bottom right circle on the Amour piece. And we can now slide the arrow piece all the way out and over the edge of the Amour piece in here. And then it's relatively straightforward. We need to turn the arrow until it's underneath the puzzle as we're looking at it here. And then we can separate the arrow piece from there. And then all we have to do with the cross piece is flip it around so that the cross is now on top as we're looking at it. Slide it out over the edge, and that is how we disassemble the Amour puzzle. And for putting the Amour puzzle back together, the complicated bit is actually just getting the orientations right as we're putting the cross piece and the arrow piece back into the Amour piece. So first of all, what we are going to do is we're going to start with the cross piece, and we want the cross facing up towards us as we are looking down on it here. So we've got the side, the same side that we were doing to separate it. We've got the side that has the Amour writing on it. We're not using the side that has Hanayama or AY on it. So with the Amour writing facing us, we're going to take the cross piece and we're going to have the cross on top of the Amour piece as we are looking at it from here. We're then going to flip it upside down and just let it rest around here, because we need to use the gap to connect the arrow piece next. With the arrow piece, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to start with the arrow underneath the puzzle, and we're going to connect through the gap of the cross piece first. So as we're coming onto the Amour piece, we go through the cross piece and connect them just like this, before we then go through the top left hand hole as we're looking at it from this position. And then we're going to bring the arrow up to the top side. And we can then, with that arrow piece, come onto the Amour piece. And it's not very pretty to actually move these, but we're going to move them around at pretty much the same rate. But the first piece that we want to put back into the opposite hole is the arrow piece. And what we're going to do is, just as we took the arrow from right to left to take it apart, we're now going to push it from left to right into this position down here. And all we then need to do is line up the gaps with the cross piece, bring the cross towards us so that the gap in the cross can now line up with the grooves on the arrow piece. We need to line up the grooves on the opposite side, and that is how we reassemble the Amour puzzle. So there it is. That is how you disassemble and then reassemble the Amour puzzle. The gold pieces on the Amour puzzle tend to have a mind of their own when you are attempting to move into certain positions. So the solution itself can be a little bit more awkward than it should be, really. And the important part on the reassembly is the orientation, really. Which way do the gold pieces go on, in which holes, and what goes in first, etc. But hopefully this has helped you solve the Amour puzzle for yourself. If you want to see me struggle through the Amour puzzle or any of these other Hanayama puzzles, and then the step-by-step solutions to all these others, then be sure to click my face here to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Peace!